What's going on, guys? What's new and exciting?
Well, I am practicing tonight, so it's exciting.
Oh, that's very exciting. I love to hear that.
Yes.
How you feeling? You nervous? You excited?
No, I'm really excited. I kind of want to slide tackle someone.
Let's go. Two feet only. That's what I'm here for. I want to see it.
Yeah, she said that to her physical therapist was talking to her like a week or two ago, was just like, how are you feeling about getting into some of just the like kind of non-contact practices, and as you go in like in the future we're going to be in contact. She's like, you get nervous about anything? And she's like, well, no, I just dream of slide tackling people. And the physical therapist thought that like meaning like her getting slide tackled. She goes, oh, no, like me doing it. And she's like, I think that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that coming off of the injury. But no, so I think that's a good sign though. That's an awesome sign.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We got a little bit of confidence. I'm here for that.
Yeah, we like that.
I mean, I've been practicing non-contact, so I feel like I just have to get like the first tackle, and then I'll be fine.
Yeah.
So we met with the surgeon on Thursday. He cleared her to proceed with the acclimation project back into full-time training. He did ask her to wear a sleeve, more so mentally than physically, just to let the brain know that the knee is there, and from a spatial recognition. I mean, I'm sure it helps somewhat, but
it's a neoprene. Yeah.
The thought process there is more around just the brain understanding there's something there and it has to start firing again. And we thought it made sense. So she'll do that. I think the main reason for our call today is just to understand how her training with you may or may not change over the next month or so. One of the sort of the main things that the sports guys that did all the testing on her were concerned just about load, fatigue sort of being her enemy. So we wanted to make sure that, our program was sort of jiving with the practice, so she wasn't overloading and potentially, having a setback. So I don't know what your thoughts are there on just continuing to train. She'll be practicing at least twice, sometimes I think 3 times a week through the month of February. And then her game schedule will begin in March.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, basically what will happen is we'll kind of start to almost kind of wean off her transition, where it just starts as she gets kind of more and more practice stuff. We'll kind of reduce the volume a little bit on our end. As she's first getting into things, would still like to keep the volume of the soccer stuff a little bit low, and then still be able to continue to work on our stuff, because we do still has looking awesome, but has things we still want to continue to work on, to grow, to improve, and everything like that. So the one kind of word of caution, or things that I'll see people that will get into, see kind of the challenges that people run into, is that as soon as they get that clearance, they're like, okay, like full go. And I've had guys that have completely dropped off the map for our stuff, and then have been going 4 times a week, like playing, and then kind of can run into issues. So making that a little bit of a smoother, more gradual kind of transition, but knowing that is definitely the end goal of where we're trying to get her to, is where that our stuff will be a little bit more supplemental, and then that stuff is more of the training stimulus. So it's not going to be where we're going to be at tomorrow, but just the direction that we're going to go. And so big thing will just be kind of communication, kind of week over week, of just kind of seeing how she's feeling, how she's responding to stuff between practice and our stuff. And then most of the time, if she's starting to feel a little overloaded, a little bit worked, we'll just be seeing from our end where we can start to cut things just a little bit. And so particularly some of the like kind of accessory stuff we've been doing, some of the upper body stuff, different things like that, like those will be some of the places that we're looking at reducing the volume first, just so that way we can keep like the most essential stuff in there as long as we can while she's getting into playing and that sort of thing. And then just we'll do as much of that on our end as we can, of just like, let us know what she's got going on, and we'll make adjustments, rather than like, I know a lot of that stuff's a little bit less controllable in terms of kind of volume, load, all of these different things. So we'll just try and adapt to that on our end as best we can.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, we've noticed the change, right? So even since the last time she went and got tested versus the Thursday, I mean, her strength, they do that plate load, those loaded plates, whatever the hell they're called.
Force plates
jumping, and you could tell her strength has increased. So we know that those leg workouts are working.
Yeah.
And we want to continue that through, at least through February for sure. So
Absolutely. That's too.
Yeah. And I think Doug too, I mean, we talked about like, I think just in all of the things that we've learned and that you shared with us and that we've kind of just, been able to better understand through a process like this, that you can't return to play and not continue to do some of the things that you've, kind of incorporated. So this isn't, to a degree, some of this doesn't ever go away. This is kind of part of her regimen, her training. Like there needs to be training in her like world, even during season and off season. So I think we are all on the same page and committed to, doing this like throughout her playing career because of what, of the benefits to it and how it can help, prevent injury and keep her strong enough, moving forward. So we will not be a return to sport and stop doing these things. Like we get it. So I just thought I'd share that part.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
So,
That's perfect.
So today's a perfect example, right? So she has a field day today, but she has practice tonight. So do we do the field work now? And then she trains, I think it's at 5 or 6, whatever. Is that okay? Or should that practice take the place of the field work today?
Yes. So and especially going forward, the practice will definitely just replace that because that will be getting a lot of the stimulus that we're looking for. Big thing would just be, so with that practice, is this the first one that we're getting into like literally everything? We're going to be there from first whistle to last whistle, like doing that full practice, or are we still like kind of
We're still
incrementally
leaning in. So we're actually going
Yeah.
to meet with the coach prior to training just to talk to him. And he's actually gone through 3 ACLs. So he fully can appreciate the work back in. So, she'll be a participant, whether she goes full bore the entire 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll sort of work into that.
Yeah.
So she may do more rondo work and have some contact, but if they're going full blown scrimmage, maybe not, at least this week. And then each week kind of just dial that in a little bit more and more, I think is
The way it worked out was I can practice all of February because like our first showcase is the 22nd. So like I have the whole month to kind of figure out like how to play
Where you are.
and then
sweet.
so, yeah.
How to play soccer.
Yeah.
You'll remember.
Then-
But no, her practices, Zach, that she's been going to that have been non-contact, like it all depends on kind of what the coach had structured for that practice. So some are, more contact than others. So in some practices, like the most recent one, it was more of a non-contact practice. So she got to do more things in that. And so I would think like as there are, things that are contact related, she'll start to ease into those. It will not be, I would doubt that it will be a full 90-minute like Sarah involved in everything intensely today. That's probably not how it will work. So
Yeah. So then perfect. So then what we'll do is we'll definitely we'll skip our stuff for that for tonight, just because we want to have you the opportunity to have legs be as fresh as possible. So we're getting into that just so you're feeling good, especially if we're going to be kind of evaluating what you can handle. The one thing you could do is at the end of practice, especially if you want to get like a friend or two, just give me 1 or 2 of those flying 10s where you could essentially just race like box to box. And that could be like 1 rep, 2 reps, like max. That would be plenty. But just something, 'cause that's what I like stuff like that, just slightly different than what you're going to get in terms of the small, sharper change of direction stuff, that sort of thing. So if you're feeling up for it, if you could talk somebody into racing you too, that always makes it more fun.
That'll be fun.
Just like 1, maybe 2 of those tops would be a great way to end practice if you're feeling good, if you're feeling up for it. But that would be perfect. And then questions for us would be, what's your practice schedule going to look like in terms of like what days are we practicing going forward?
Yeah.
So it's almost always either a Monday or Tuesday, and almost always a Saturday. Trying to pull it up.
She has this week, Doug, it's Monday, Thursday. And then, yeah, Sarah, I looked at it, Monday, Thursday, and then a Saturday this week because there are no games. So when there are games, that usually reduces the number of practices in the week. But yeah, this week it's coming up as Monday, Thursday, Saturday.
Okay, got it. So what we'll do is we've only got 1 more week left in this phase that we're in, right in this strength phase that we're in, we could do one more, but as of right now, we've just got one more in there. So we'll do this, we'll run through the exact same schedule for next week. We'll kind of have that kind of Wednesday through Sunday kind of schedule that we are working.
Okay.
And we'll do the same thing with that Saturday field session of like, we'll skip that guy, but if we want to get one or two of those kind of fly 10s at the very end of practice, we can do that. Then we'll see how we feel. And going after that, we'll probably change our schedule to like a 2 to 3 day a week schedule on our end based off of kind of where those practices are, and then go from there.
Okay.
And those
Good.
2 to 3 days a week would primarily be what I would call leg lifting days.
Exactly.
3 days. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. So we'll definitely do less of the field sessions and like the plyo stuff as she's getting into playing, because that will just be the stimulus in and of itself, and we'll take care of more of the strength stuff.
Okay. Awesome.
Perfect.
Beautiful.